when people actually meet me,
Yeah.
talk to me, they're like, "Oh, dang, I didn't think you'd be as cool as you are."
Let me say this. So I have a friend. I'm not gonna say her name. She went to a nice school up in. I'm from Detroit, so she went to a nice school in Michigan. She made a post. Now she has a career doing well for herself or whatever. She made a post and said it turns her off if a man admires her for working hard. Now my response was, well, why do you put that persona? Your whole persona is that you are a hardworking woman. That's what you put out to the world.
Yes.
So why are you mad that a man is attracted to what you put out to the world? You went and got 2-3 degrees. You the one worked 60, 70 hours. You the one talk about being independent, paying all your bills and doing all that.
Right,
you
right.
could easily just go do all of that and not post none of it. And attract a man that would want to take care of you and want to do all of that and live that soft girl era. You could easily put soft girl era content out. You don't. You put out
I'm
a boss grinding
I'm
content, and the man is
getting it done.
and you are attracting those type of men. So I'm like, you are falsely advertising.
I can see that, but I will say that I don't think that women are doing that to advertise. I think women are doing that to encourage. And
encourage who?
Encourage other women. Because all these women empowerment groups, all of
so they selling a bill of goods that they don't actually want to buy themselves.
No. I think they bought the bill of goods, to your point. I done paid for the degrees. I am surviving, living, thriving off of these things. Right. I do want other ladies to know that you can thrive. You can make a good life for yourself. I'm not saying that. But I can also see how a man can look at something like that and think is an advertisement in a way, something to be enticing, even though I only put that out there to be encouraging, not necessarily enticing. You're enticed by something. Yeah, you're enticed by something that I meant to be encouraging. I don't want a man to look at me and say, "Oh, wow, you work like a dog. I love that for you." Like, I want a man to say, "Dang, you're a hard worker. Come here. Let me take my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Why don't you just come on over here?"
Okay, so here's the problem though. The woman that I meet in person or online or whatever is the hardworking, putting in work, going to work. You got a degree, you making 6 figures woman. And then the minute you get with me and in a relationship with me, now you want to be the opposite. So again, I don't want that. If I wanted that lazy girl that just sits at home and does nothing, I would have went and got her. Yeah. I got with you because you are smart, you're attractive, you're a hard worker. Maybe we can build something together.
Right.
Maybe I can come in and amplify something that you are doing. But that's what I mean by like falsely advertising. Yeah. It would be as if I'm a workout warrior. I go to the gym every day. I post workout videos. I do that. And the minute I get with you, now I'm not going to the gym. Now I'm sleeping in. Now I'm gaining 20, 30 pounds.
Right.
Why would you want to continue being with me?
Right.
You signed up for the guy that was working out and buff and, taking care of his health. Now you're this fat slob sitting on the bed, not getting up. And I'm like, well, why do you admire me for being this workout person?
Yeah.
It's like, what? That's what you promote.
And was the person who put that out there, were they a black woman?
Yes, it was a black woman.
Well, I think particularly for black women, when I don't advocate to get with a man and just put your feet up. Like that does feel like, dang, am I being used?
Yeah.
But I do think that when you are in a relationship and you have the option, because a lot of black women got the 2-3 degrees, got to the 2-3 jobs, plus they volunteer. A lot of the times they're doing that because they have to. And when I'm in a relationship and I don't feel like I'm burdened with having to, but I can want to, that is peak relationship.
So most women basically don't want to work.
No. I'm not saying that women don't want to work. I'm saying that we don't want to have to, like, to be in survival mode.
So, okay, let me ask you a question.
You know what I mean? It's stressful.
Let me ask you a question. You got a son and a daughter. I'm not saying you do. I'm just giving a scenario, right? You have a son and a daughter.
Right. Don't put that out. No.
Knock on wood. Hey, maternity leave.
Right.
Paternity leave, whatever. You have a son and a daughter. Let's say they twins, right? I'm really putting it on you now.
Yeah, you are.
they get into the school of their dreams. They both have to borrow $200,000 a year to go to school. Would you encourage both of them to go borrow that money? Or, I mean, they got in their dream school, but then there's other schools that are just as good, but they gave them a scholarship.
Right. And it's not going to be that much.
It's not going to be as much. Would you encourage your daughter to go make the same decision as your son, knowing your son is going to work for the rest of his life? He has no choice. He don't have a soft girl era. His soft girl era was when he was a baby.
Okay.
His soft girl era is over. He's going to work for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
A woman around 31, 32, she trying to lay back and kick her feet up, have some kids, get married, and then maybe she have the flexibility in her 40s to come out now the kids in school. Now she can come out and start a business, run or whatever. Or she can just be straight through, but she have the flexibility and the option. Would you tell your daughter to go borrow that $200,000, $300,000 to go to school, just like you would tell your son?
Yes, and not because one has to work harder. They both have to be able to be independent and self-sufficient, regardless of who's in their life. Both of them. So,
but why would you want your daughter to have that financial burden, and now she may not have that option of flexibility in her 30s or in her childbearing years, whenever those are, compared to your son? Like, to me personally, I wouldn't tell my daughter to do it. I would tell my daughter to go to the best school she can get in for free. So in her at 28, 32, 35, whenever she want to kick back, now she has that flexibility and she has that option. Versus my son, my advice to my son, go to the best school you can get in. If you get in Harvard and you got to pay Harvard prices, go there, because it don't matter. You're going to work for the rest of your life anyway. So borrowing the money isn't going to be that big of a deal. But when I said that, people called me sexist. Because
your daughter might have to work for the rest of her life too. That's the thing.
But she don't want to.
There's no guarantee. So she needs to be equipped. And not for nothing, but it's also more dangerous not to equip your daughter, to be honest. Because
but she still would be equipped going to the other school that is not her dream school, but she got a scholarship at this school.
Okay, this is what I mean. You could have a son, and he could go to, like a community college and then get into a 4-year university later, right?
Yes.
You could have a daughter, and she could go to Oxford.
Right.
She could go to the top of the top. Your son could get the same job with going through his situation that your daughter can going to Oxford, because it is a patriarchal system.
Correct. I get it.
So it is actually more imperative to equip the girls, because you might have to do more to look impressive. You might have to do more to look like you're about your business. But the
son is going to get more return on investment out of making that investment. I understand that dynamic. I agree with what you just said, that, hey, he can go to this community college and go to a state school. Yeah. You go to a private school, and you done went to all these fancy schools.
We're same.
And y'all come out and get the same job. I understand that. But my point is, he's never going to have that option in his life to kick back and kick her feet up. The woman, yes, she might have to work for the rest of her life. Yes. But she also, through marriage and all of it, she gonna have the option to kick her feet up. The man never has the option, even if he get married and have shit. He gonna work harder when he get married and have kids, because he's providing for a family.
She may or may not have the option.
But that's why she needs the flexibility of not having the debt. That's my point.
Okay, so you want to mitigate debt. Just in case.
Because it's a big risk for a woman to take out $200,000. It's not that big of a risk for a man. It's a huge risk for a woman, because, okay, when you take out the money, you take out the $200,000. Okay, now you're 29, 30, you want to have some kids. Okay, you're not just taking a risk on, I'm having some kids and not working for 5 years or whatever until they're in school. You're also taking a risk on now you being discriminated against, because you ain't been in the workforce in 6-7 years. They got AI. They got all this new technology. even if somebody wanted to hire you, you're not a good employee to hire at this point because you've been out of the workforce. That literally happens to women every single day. So wouldn't it be a lot better to be a woman with no debt that's getting discriminated against versus a woman with $300,000
and still getting discriminated against?
We live in a society in a system that discriminates against women. So I would encourage my daughter to have flexibility. And people called me sexist because of that. I don't care what people call me, but I just wanted your perspective on that because that's a real thing.
I personally rather be put in the best situation to succeed because I don't want to maybe none of my kids. Like honestly, at the end of the day, we're trying to break generational curses, so I got y'all regardless. But I don't want your lifestyle, your debt, your debt to income ratio depend on, well, you might get married, you might have kids, or you might not do any of those things and you still need to be put in the, but I understand what you're saying.
But it ain't even about that you might have a man. Like maybe you just don't want to work as hard and now you got the flexibility when you don't have debt. You working at this law firm, whatever, for $150,000 and you like, you know what?
I want to walk away.
I want to walk away. So I saved money for 2 years, and now I'm a teacher, and I make $60,000 a year. But I got the flexibility. I got my freedom. I'm doing something I love. Mm-hmm. So you have maybe you want to start a small business. You have the option and the flexibility. I think women in the workforce and going into educational and advancing their careers, I would never tell a woman not to advance her career, but I would definitely caution a woman who's going out to take $200,000 to $300,000 in debt chasing a law degree or a PhD, because when that time start clicking and you want to have a family and do all of this, you're not going to say no. You're going to say no to your career faster than you say no to having kids. Mm-hmm. And that's a real thing, and that's just a pressure that I don't have to deal with because I'm a man. Women, I see it every single day. They deal with this pressure. And I'm just saying, it's not changing no time soon. So we don't care. We know for a fact it's the patriarchy system and, it discriminates against women, all that. We can't ignore that simply because we disagree with it.
Right.
So I think the flexibility allows women to have that option to start a family or have that option to step back from a career that's not serving them.
That's not.
And I think women have that option. Men don't. If a man came to me and said, I don't like my job, I work in construction, I'd be like, shut up, bro. You a man. You a man. You got to do what you got to do to feed your family. I was gonna say, if a woman comes to me and say, I hate my job, I hate this, I hate that, I'll be like, follow your passion, sis. Get you a good man, you good. I just feel like I would treat women and men different in that aspect.
I understand what you're saying. I think what you're saying is like patriarchy impacts everybody.
It does.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so part of what you're saying is, yes, you are going to you might not get the position that you want, or you might get the same position as a less qualified man. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
At that same time,
and that's a real thing.
On that other side of the coin is that man has to keep working, whether it's his passion or not.
He don't have that option. He
doesn't have the luxury. So I agree with that.
He don't have that option.
But
not having student loan debt will give you that flexibility. Because of situations like we just talked about, you can't find a man.
That's
you
what
at
I'm
these
saying.
singles events, you can't find a man, but now you have that option and flexibility
that you don't need one.
You don't need one to survive. I mean, you need one to fulfill your, whatever you want. You want a family, you want to be married, whatever you need, a man for that. But just to live, you don't need a man because you didn't make those financial obligations. So